Those amateurs used an off-the-shelf encryption system. It only took a couple of seconds to crack that sucker wide open. It looks like the 54I weren't here randomly. They were contracted by the CDP to investigate an alleged abandoned CIA project run out of the basement of this facility. We don't know how the CDP knew it, but they allude to there being a mole inside the CIA. I'll run this up the ladder. That thing is pretty shot. I was able to extract some of the sales recording if you want to hear it. That robotic hand isn't that different from your cybernetic replacement. They even share a number of internal subsystems. Even the control signals used to drive it are the same, issued directly from the robot's central processor, or by your DNI implant in response to your neural impulses. The Immortals take this ancestor thing pretty seriously. I'd keep that hidden till we're a long way off their turf. My scans show that that thing is still live. You're not going to keep that near your bunk, are you? Yes, of course you are. Scans show that that collar has a faulty electronic fuse. Regardless of whether the detonate command was local or remote, that thing's a squib. The date of manufacture stamped on those is 1915. That would suggest that rather than being standard issue, these may well have been a pair that saw action in the World War of 1914 to 1918 and had been given to his son when he joined the Army in the late 30s or early 40s. The magnets are a cute touch. The real thing uses an electromagnetic suspension system to float the entire train about 15 millimeters off its track. It doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a 62-ton vehicle floating and being pushed forward at up to 500 kilometers an hour. Those are some strong magnets. Seems that Hall's parents were vacationing in Singapore when the coalescence disaster occurred. I can't find their names on any of the survivors' lists. Whoa. Okay. So that's a bottle of brandy that was bottled in 1824. The original would be 240 years old. Now, I know that the designers of that simulation were likely just trying to sell that Zurich is an affluent town, but finding that on a train has to be artistic license. The real thing would likely cost more than you or I earn in a year. Nice to see how the other half lives, huh? I'm still struggling to understand how Taylor could have been driven to behave like this. He was one of our best, and one of the first selected for the Cyber Soldier program. I can't imagine how this must be affecting Hendricks. Only in Zurich. It's not like those things are that expensive to produce, but the town likes to wear its tech credentials on its sleeve. No idea whose voice that was, but it seemed to be a guided image therapy session, a form of psychotherapy. We couldn't lift any prints from the recorder. It was clean. Are you saving for your retirement? Careful with that thing, it's old. Like over 800 years old. Probably Yuan Dynasty, made around 1300. It's quite possibly priceless. Definitely irreplaceable. Unsurprisingly, I'm getting negative power readings off that canister, which means I can't connect to the inventory system to determine what that thing is holding. Those things are manufactured to survive substantial impacts and are coated in the same self-repairing smart materials that make up your body armor. Lucky for us, the containment is designed to remain active in the event of power loss. Be careful with that. Clearly mass-produced and sold in bulk for decorating large apartment blocks. I did a little digging on the apartment that you found it in. It turns out that the original buyers of those apartments had an online community before the megastructures were turned into refugee camps. I'm surprised the kit's still intact. Even the 54I must have initially given the place a wide berth when they moved into the quarantine zone in 2061. The shaped charge on that really won't pack much of a punch. Certainly wouldn't take down a GIU. You might want to just stick with your grenades. That particular Hamza is at least 200 years old. It's quite likely that it was passed down through the generations by the family who lived in the apartment where he found it. The megastructures in Cairo were originally constructed to offer luxury living, but as the Sahara encroached and the Nile dried up due to the NRC's ongoing dam projects, greater and greater numbers of Egypt's population converged on Cairo, either voluntarily or as part of enforced relocation programs. The towers became vertical refugee camps. Many of them were damaged or destroyed when the Sub-Cairo Aquifer project collapsed. The last family occupying that apartment likely brought this Hamza from their original village or town as a memory of home. That's one ugly augmentation. Looks like it was externally powered, while the wiring we saw in the lab would suggest that it lacked any of the high-bandwidth near-field communication systems that you guys use to interface with external systems. The surgery to install it must have been pretty invasive. The recovery time would have been significant, and it wouldn't function outside the laboratory. It also doesn't have any of the biocompatibility coatings that yours do. They must have either been suppressing the test subject's immune systems or just not expecting them to survive long enough for rejection to be an issue. Who would have consented to test one of these? If we ever needed direct evidence that these guys are supported by the CDP, this would be it. That's state-of-the-art CDP exoskeleton technology. I didn't know they were selling these. I thought they were only equipping their own shock troops. The resolution of that immersion must have been unbelievable. The reproduction you printed based on data pulled from your computer-assisted memory is so good that analysis suggests that it's actually playable, or would be if we had anything capable of doing so. Who crafts simulations like that? Crazy that wars were won and lost with these things. It's hardly portable, and would only have had a range of around 15 miles. The AM band that it broadcast on would also have been susceptible to atmospheric conditions, and as far as I can tell, there's no concept of encryption or secure channels. That molecule looks like it's an organophosphate, although the damage to the board means I couldn't tell you which one. Could be an insecticide, could be a nerve agent, could just be an EP additive for a manufacturing process. Based on what happened here, there's speculation that there must have been some kind of potent war gas released. This could support that theory. When all this is over, we should try to locate the family of the sword's owner and return it if we can.